So today I'm going to make my video on Lafayette, the Marquis de Lafayette to be exact. And it's going to be a two-part video. And well, you probably know who he is by the title of the man, the hero of the two worlds. So, the US and France. However, that's a cool title and all, but I prefer to know him as the guy who loved revolutions. I mean, he was in the possibly two most important revolutions in history. He was right in the middle of them. He was directly involved in both of them in such a short amount of time. So I'm going to focus on his role in each revolution. And my original plan was to do, the American Revolution and then the French Revolution, only because of the chronology. But I thought I'd do the French Revolution because his role isn't even spoken. His role in the French Revolution isn't that well known. And then I'm going to talk about. So tomorrow I'm going to talk about his role in the American Revolution. So, the French Revolution. Well, prior to the actual revolution itself, when Louis XVI called the States General, or l'État Général, pardon my French, he was actually a member of the nobility there. He was a member of those. He could contribute to the vote of the nobility. And as a little background, the States General, there were three classes. So the clergy, kind of, the nobility, and the third estate. And they each had one vote. However, the clergy and the church and the nobility would always team up against the third estate. And that's kind of where the revolution took place, with the third estate being fed up. So, although Lafayette, he was part of the nobility and part of the vote that contributed to the vote against the third estate, he believed that the bourgeois class needed to have more liberty in a way. So he had been heavily influenced by his role in the American Revolution. More on that tomorrow, but he was also quite in contact with Thomas Jefferson, and we all know that Thomas Jefferson was the guy who essentially wrote the Declaration of Independence. So they stayed in contact and managed to write a declaration, kind of called the Declaration of Man of the Citizen, something like that. It's really here's our rights. These are ours. So second. And I think it was drafted on July 11th, but finally published on August 27th or something like that. And well, they don't hold as much relative importance as the Declaration of Independence has in U.S. history. So, although the French Revolution was kind of built on this declaration, it wasn't that much and that's partially because of Lafayette's role in the actual revolution itself. So, by the time the Bastille was attacked on July 14th, July 15th, 1789, Lafayette had been just appointed the head of the National Guard in Paris. So he actually had to defend Paris against the revolutionaries, despite having sympathies towards them. But also had to defend the king, so had to defend Louis XVI, then had to defend Marie Antoinette, and ended up escorting them to Paris from Versailles, where they would be held prisoner. And then he kind of joins, he doesn't really fight in the, how do I say this? There is no fighting in Lafayette's like way. He was involved in the room in the I forgot, I don't know the name in English, but this is right at the beginning of the revolution. Like he kind of switched sides, kind of. So he had sympathies with the revolutionaries, as was exemplified right at the beginning, but he kept on, bouncing back to the bureaucracy, to the aristocracy, to the nobility. Under Robespierre, when the monarchy finally fell, Lafayette actually had to defend, against the revolt or something, and him and his troops killing at least 50 men, and men belonging to the revolutionary category, so to radical Robespierre. And yeah, I mean, and then after the revolution, he actually got imprisoned after that, around that time, and well, he eventually managed to escape because he got imprisoned, he got caught, and he was probably going to face trial for treason and execution, but he escaped. Literally, I think it was a day before his trial, and escaped to Austria. From there, laid low for a while before returning to the U.S., where there he was loved. He remained in contact with key revolutionaries from the U.S., so Jefferson, Hamilton, Madison probably, but his role was much less prominent in the French Revolution, and that's because he had links to the monarchy. He even danced with Marie Antoinette one night. It was really funny because he kept on stepping on her toes and falling. He was really clumsy, and I believe it is said that Marie Antoinette, she danced with him because she knew how bad he was at dancing. But I don't know how much of that is true. But yeah, I mean, that's Lafayette. It's just bouncing back and forth. You can clearly tell he has sympathies, but he keeps on defending the traditional values, but has sympathies, but defends the king and defends the values of the monarchy, but then is arrested, but then escapes, but then says, hey, revolution is good, you have to overthrow the rich, but he himself was rich. It's a bit confusing, but it's a really interesting one. It's just alternating. But yeah, that is it. Tomorrow, more on Lafayette, his role in the American Revolution, which I might say is really interesting. But I just say that for everything, so yeah, that is it. I'm gonna leave it there because there's not much else to say. So thank you. Yeah, I hope you liked it. I hope you found it interesting, and yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.